Hey guys, it's Smashley. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it is your first time. First things first, we just wanted to say thank you for all of the love and support you guys have been showing us on the videos. It has been so fun and so fulfilling to be creating this type of content, having something to do during quarantine, and seeing you guys start to recreate some of our home DIY projects. So thank you for that. That being said, this past week I did a poll on my Instagram and I just asked you guys what types of projects you'd like to see coming down the pipeline from the channel. And the majority of the responses were all DIY home decor, which is very on brand for me, so thank you. I'm super excited for today's video because I'm going to be getting back into a medium that I haven't touched for quite a while, but I have a couple canvases behind me. And we are going to be creating this really cool line art canvas set for one of my friends who actually just moved into her own apartment. So a lot of you guys are probably asking, Smashley, what is line art? Line art is almost an outline or silhouette loosely defined by a person, but it's something that's not fully defined, but you can tell it's a certain silhouette of a person. So I have a couple that I picked off of Pinterest that we're going to be outlining on top of the canvases. But before we do so, I thought it'd be really cool to give it some abstract type background. So the friend that I'm making this set for, I actually worked with her on a couple colors that seem to go with her place and some of her home decor to create this abstract, almost watercolor-y background. But we are going to be using acrylic paints and I'll get into materials next. So first things first, you're going to need your canvases. The two that I have here are 16 by 20. I have them set up side by side just because I want to keep the background consistent in its color. Also need your acrylic paint. So these are going to be the primary colors that we're going to be using today. I have just a few different shapes and sizes of just some flat acrylic brushes, some paper towels so you can wipe that off, and we're going to fill this up with water next. Okay. So I just went ahead, I put my apron on. I would highly recommend either putting a t-shirt that you don't care about. It could get a little messy. I think I picked this up at like a Michael's or something like that, but I have all the colors I'm going to be using. I have pretty much 3, maybe 4 main primary colors that I want to use, and then I have a cream color and a brown color to kind of just diffuse that out. So make sure you have all your paints all set. I have the bottles of the paints here too, just in case I happen to run out. And just a plain flat brush. I'm going to take the primary colors and kind of just do a couple dabs, and what we're going to do to make it look and have that cool watercolory vibe that we talked about earlier, we're going to diffuse that out, and that's going to be the first layer. We're going to have a couple different layers of the paint in the background because I don't want it to be single dimension. Alright, here we go. We're just going to take one kind of big blob there, your first color anyway, and we'll do another big blob here. We'll take our next color, here, here. Not too much of this. Alright, and what you can't see is every time I'm dipping my brush in the water, I have my water right here, I do have a paper towel there, and that's just so we don't get that runniness down the painting, but it doesn't matter. This next part, you don't want to have any color on your brush, but you do want to have a little bit of water, and we're just going to start to diffuse this out. Once you feel it start to get a little bit dry, you just want to pick up a little bit of water and then keep it going. Alright, looking good so far. I'm going to keep building up this color and doing that same process until I kind of get the full canvas colored. I mean, yeah, the full canvas painted. That's what we're doing. Just added a little bit of green. That's going to be one of our secondary colors. So this is going to serve as our first layer. The next thing I'm going to do, and you notice too, the way that I was using the brush is kind of in almost little X motions going back and forth, but mostly horizontally. At the end of the painting, we are going to be going vertical and having more up and down brush strokes. And that's when I'm going to start to pick up some more color. I don't want the entire canvas to be fully opaque, which is why the background is so important, but it's abstract, so I mean, do whatever you want, really. I'm gonna start taking, I have this like, almost like a cream bone color, and I'm just gonna start with the vertical. I know eventually at the end of this, I'm gonna want the line art to be in the center. So one thing I was just thinking about, and I thought I would share with you guys, is think about where you want to do the line art and kind of what color you want in the background. I'm feeling like I'm probably going to want more of like a cream color and then more of that peachy color, almost flesh tone a little, but just so that the line art actually pops out a little bit more. We're going to be doing that line art later in an A black paint. Alright, so I think this is good for now. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry a little while we work on the background for the other piece. This one in particular, the first layer we did horizontal, the second layer we did vertical, and I think the last layer I want to do is kind of just some weird, more abstract looking shapes, maybe introduce some other tones in there. I have a little bit of brown that I think I want in the forefront also. So we'll let this one dry and we'll work on the second one. Alright, we're back. I went ahead and just did the second canvas off camera. So we kind of have very similar backgrounds going on. You can tell that they're set. They don't have to be identical. But we're about to go in with the third and final layer for the abstract background. So I went ahead and replenished my paints. And I kind of just switched my paintbrush. So this one's a little softer, has more of a rounded edge. And we're going to be doing some more abstract shapes in the background before we do the line art. We're getting there. I don't actually have anything that I'm necessarily going for, but I just wanted to have this cool abstract background. So one of the little techniques that I'm doing is just taking my paintbrush with no real color on it, but just some water and kind of hitting the oversaturated areas to see if I can get it to make like this really cool, transparent, almost a drippy look. You guys probably can't see it, but up close you guys will notice the streaks later. One done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one off camera. We're just gonna add in the third and final layer, the abstract layer, which we kind of did to this one here, and then some of that water dripping effect. Then we'll let both of them dry completely down. They should be dry to the touch before we get into the next piece and the final piece with the paint, which is going to be adding in the actual line art.
So for the materials we will need, of course, is your wood frame. We're going to need stain, 2 rags, and plastic gloves. I created my station so that way I have a staining area, then like a drying area. Make sure you have your materials at hand so you can have easy access. So crack this bad boy open. And we're going to take our black rag, so going to dip it in there, and then just apply it like a brush. So the longer the stain is on the wood, the darker it's supposed to get. So depending on how dark you want it, you want to leave it longer if you want it dark. So next what we're going to do is wipe off our stain. See, notice how it's a little lighter now that I wiped it off. Now that our wood is finally stained, per the label, we're going to set aside for the wood to dry for an hour.
Okay, so our canvases backgrounds are completely finished. This was more of like that abstract look that I was going with. And the next and final step in terms of paint is going to be adding the line drawing. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did go on Pinterest and I just picked out a couple of line drawings that I really liked. I also created this really cool prototype of what I wanted these to look like, so you get an idea of what the end result should be. So in order to do the line drawing, I think it's safest for me to start off with pencil. I'm gonna have the lightest sketch on here, and then I have a high polymer eraser if I happen to mess up, so this won't take off your paint that we put on the background. And I have the actual line drawing up on my phone, so you guys will see me hold that. Just gonna try and replicate that on the canvas. Okay, so after many mistakes that we were able to nicely erase, we have our sketch all the way done and we're ready to go ahead and outline this. I will be using black paint. I have a very small angled tiny paintbrush that I'm going to be dipping in because I'm afraid to make mistakes. So I just added some black paint to canvas here. Okay, you guys, one done, one more to go. I can finally breathe. Loving how this is coming out so far. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other line drawing, and then we'll come back to put the frames around them and they'll be done.
Now that our painting is finally done, we can go ahead and get our frame together. So what you're gonna need is our stained wood, of course, staple gun, wood glue, our speed square, also our corner pieces to keep the pictures flush with the frame.
And I'm standing here because this is a two-person job to kind of hold the whole thing together. So where do we start?
Okay, first thing we're gonna do is frame out our frame. Okay, so now we have that first corner. So now we're gonna glue our corners together. The corners together. Take my speed square, glue it together to make sure I get that 90-degree angle, and then I have Smashley staple it.
Okay. It's in.
All right, it's in. So we got our first corner put together. Let's repeat the process. Next, we're gonna take our corner pieces. I'm gonna glue and staple them to the corner. After we get all four, we'll be able to put our painting on top of those corner pieces. Now that's all done, we'll be able to put our paintings inside of it and finally finish.
All right, you guys, they're all done. What do we think? What do we think? I haven't painted in so long, and I promise y'all I'm not a Picasso by any means. The thing that I love about abstract paint is that it really doesn't matter how you put it on the canvas. We went through a few different techniques today. Honestly, you could have stopped at any point. We could have stopped at doing the horizontal paint strokes, the vertical paint strokes, or if you want to do full-blown abstract beauty, kind of like how we have here, you can absolutely do that. You could also choose to leave the line art completely off, and I still think it would be a beautiful piece. I personally really like the wood frames because, again, I think I mentioned in one other video, even though we're doing DIY, I don't like for them to look DIY. You know what I mean? Feel like it just looks a little bit more professional. I actually have a canvas set very similar to this that I have up in my office, which was part of the inspo for this video. But I have a feeling that this is gonna be something we keep in our arsenal. I'll probably do more paintings similar like this as I'm redoing certain areas in the house and for some of my friends. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video from start to finish. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.